Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Conversations with Coaches podcast. I am your host, Kevin, sounding a little more nasally than usual today, but still my usual jovial, silly, and slightly over-caffeinated self. Today, I have the honor and privilege of, I think, being the first podcast host to welcome Maureen McKinnon. Maureen has been inspiring, coaching, teaching, and mentoring both current and future leaders for over 20 years now. Maureen's mission is simple: to help women gain leadership roles to balance gender equity in corporate leadership. To put it simply, she helps talented women get promoted and make more money. And we'll get to talk about how she does that and some of her experiences. And she's got a lot of stories. So Maureen, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here today.
I am so thrilled to be here, Kevin. And yes, you are the first one to interview me through podcasts. So I'm very excited about this today.
Well, all right. Since we're at the beginning, let's start at the beginning. How did you get your start as a coach? Well, like a realization? Were you kind of coaching in practice before you realized, oh, I should maybe do this like as a profession, as a practice itself? And then how did that realization, that understanding, go from there to having your own coaching business?
Well, mine was quite a journey, actually. So I'm actually a serial entrepreneur. And I'm actually a natural teacher, coach, and mentor, which I hadn't realized when I was younger. So I've always mentored and coached my staff and my clients, actually, in the various businesses I've been in. Then in 2000, I decided that I had just come out of a divorce, and I decided I had some extra time at night, so why don't I start volunteering? So I joined the Vancouver Board of Trade, and I volunteered on their Leaders of Tomorrow mentorship committee. So I sat on their executive committee. I was a business mentor, and the mentorship program was about matching industry professionals with graduating university students who were just finishing their university and about to go into the work world. We wanted to show them that we weren't monsters, we were actually people, and how they could enter into the workforce and what to expect. So I was with the mentorship program at the Vancouver Board of Trade. I sat on the committee. I chaired for 2 years. I was a business mentor for 7. And then when I joined the Vancouver Board of Trade, I also decided I had this time. So I also mentored as a business mentor for another organization, which was the New Ventures Business Plan Contest. So I was a business mentor to startup CEOs and teams. And I mentored with the Board of Trade for 7 years, and at the same time mentored with New Ventures for 10 years. So I actually mentored hundreds of professionals, both men and women, to advance their careers before I ever started about being a coach. I think it was amazing. So in 2009, I decided to become a coach. So I got certified as a business coach and as a executive coach. I already had a master's of science in management and a master's of science in financial services. So I had a lot of knowledge. And then I was also a serial entrepreneur, having had 4 businesses. So I decided I would be a business consultant coach and help small and medium-sized businesses grow their businesses. So I became a certified, so I started my business as a coach, McKinnon Coaching, actually, or McKinnon Consulting, actually, group. And then on October 24th, 2014, it was the day that changed my life. I was attending the first We for She forum, which was created by an alliance of 25 women organizations and the Greater Vancouver Board of Trade, plus the Canadian federal and provincial, BC provincial governments. And it was designed to showcase a recent survey that was put together by asked by the federal government from the Catalyst organization out of Ottawa, where are Canadian women in business today? This is 2014. And so we're sitting in the audience, there's about 400 of us, mostly women, for the first one. And the results were, the report showed us that as far as women in leadership, it started out with 47% of the workforce was women when we started our business, or started in careers, or started in work. And then at management roles, only 35% were women. Once you get to senior officers, it's 18%. Now we're still 47% of the workforce, but we're only 18% of the senior officers, and only 5% 0.3% of the CEOs or senior leaders. I was
That math does
stunned.
not add up. That math does not add up.
It does not add up. I was stunned. So I decided to commit my business to my mission, which is helping to balance the gender equity in corporate leadership. So I launched McKinnon Executive Coaching in 2015.
I love it. I love the way how much your journey represents like the foundational pillars of what makes a great coach. Is you had that natural inclination to mentor, to help, to see where there might be like some room for guidance or some assistance, and then move into that space and to fold in your vast personal experience. Like, I have specific experience in these industries. I should apply that natural gift that I have for mentoring and coaching and helping and guiding, fold those together, and then seeing where there's a gap, where there's a lack, where there's a need, where there's a discrepancy, where the numbers and the reality just don't add up, don't make sense. And then just folding all three, like braiding those together and realizing, you know what? This is my mission. This is my focus. These are my skills. This is how I can best be of service. It's the perfect coaching journey. I love it. I like to marvel at it because it's so simple when you see it laid out like that. It's like, oh, of course, this is the way that your life went. But as you're going through it, I imagine it feels, twisty and turning, and you're, stunned and grateful at each new turn.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what I did was, that's a great mission to have, but how do you do it? So I spent the next 6 months or so doing research and looking into the barriers and the challenges and all of the things, like why was it still this way? And then I decided that there were certain things like systemic challenges in business that I couldn't really personally solve. So what could I do to help solve? So what I decided, since I viewed the problem as not enough women in leaderships, and my solution was to help them get promoted. So how do we do that? So I actually developed a promotion strategy. So it's my McKinnon Executive Coaching promotion strategy, and it has steps and stages, and I help my clients work through them. And we start depending on what stage they're at to get them to where they want to be, which of course is a promotion and making more money. Although sometimes it's clarity. Sometimes it's, I'm really stuck in my role, but I don't know what to do next. So some of it's fear, but also, and the uncertainty, although through the pandemic, that's really changed. Like that whole mindset has changed. But it's more about what is my value? Like, what can I really do? Who will want me? And what kind of transferable skills do I have if I decide I want to change industries? Because that's what's happening in the Great Resignation, of course, is what do you really want to do is open to people to think about now. I'm actually really thrilled that that's the shakeup. Part of the shakeup for employees through the Great Resignation is at least you get to stop and think about, am I happy at what I'm doing? And is there something else I want to do? Whether you do anything about it or not, the fact that you're actually thinking about it, I think is a great thing for everybody.
Yeah. Sometimes clarity means you realize that you're exactly where you want to be.
Correct. Absolutely. Yes.
Oh, I love that. And I appreciate that you did mention that too, like, because clarity, it's like that's so many people have been in all walks of life. They have their head down figuratively, but also in some ways literally, and they're doing the work, they're doing the job, they're on the grind or whatever you want to call it. And sometimes it's really just about getting like realizing that you can raise your head up. And it's like looking around and being like, I don't even know how to look. I don't even know what I'm looking at right now. And that's where a coach can really, really make the kinds of changes that you don't even realize you need until you have a coach kind of point you in that right direction and kind of guide you. It's like, so here's how you could look at this. What do you see now? And then all of it's like a burst of color. It's like going from black and white to color, or just a literal dawning, it's really magical. I'm no question there. I just wanted to add my voice to the choir there.
Well, it's also true. It's very, very true. So the steps for my promotion strategy are, you start with confident. You have to be good at your job. It's really hard to get promoted if you're not good at your job. Sorry. So you have to be that before I can help you. Then the next step is being confident. It's knowing that you can do the job and that you're good at it. The next stage is credibility, which is that other people know that you can do the job. And the third stage, which is the real secret that women don't realize, is visibility. So visibility is when your boss's boss or your boss's boss's boss know who you are. So it's people that you don't know necessarily, but they know who you are and that you can do the job. So therefore you'll get the promotions. So, and there's different strategies on how you get to that stage. But it really starts with the confidence of understanding the value that you bring to a business, any organization actually, because people forget that most businesses actually, they're about 80% the same. They have the same departments. And if you work for a department, 80% of the businesses out there have your department, but people don't think in the bigger picture like that.
Yeah.
But it really helps your confidence level if you realize that you can actually work in any department, in any industry that does this role, right?
Yeah.
And part of the actually value is we work through a process to help you discover your unique abilities, your strengths, identify your accomplishments, learn how to articulate what you're good at and why you're good at it, and using the business language to describe your results that decision makers understand is another part of it, which is really good.
I'd love that, because that is something that I know I don't think about often enough, is you really do, if you want to demonstrate and communicate your value, you have to see it yourself first. Not necessarily, like sometimes other people will see it before you do, depending on your circumstances, but seeing it yourself is a huge step, but also understanding how to speak the language of the person who you want to communicate that value to. It's a good lesson in all walks of life, being like knowing enough about a person, empathizing with them, understanding the words they use and what they mean to them, to speak to them in a way that will actually communicate. You're not just out there speaking into the void, saying the things that make sense to you, but to no one else, and wondering why things aren't changing. Learning that other language and adapting that to your own. I can't amplify that message, that lesson enough. That's so important.
Yes, it really is. So, through working through the process, I have a process to help women get confident. Within about 4 months of working with me, I can see the transformation in them, in their confidence level, that they are starting to understand how valuable they really are. And I can see it. They smile more, they stand taller, they talk more positive. I've had several of them give me feedback about going to dinner with prior to the pandemic, of course, or virtually having dinner with their friends. And their friends would ask them, what's changed? You know, you're so much, there's just so much more life to you. You're so much more positive and all of that. And of course, all the girlfriends are thinking that they've now fallen in love with some guy, right? And it's not realizing they've actually fallen in love or understand how wonderful they are themselves. And the transformation my definition is a talent mindset. You have an absolute belief in yourself and your abilities to do your job, deliver the results, and be the person and the team member or leader that you are. And you absolutely know you can do the job and deliver. Man,
I feel like I could talk to you about this for hours and hours and hours and hours. And I know you've got stories, but it's already, time just flew. We've been talking for already about 15 minutes or so. Where can people find out more about you? Where can people connect with you and get to talking with you? Do you work with people still usually in the greater Vancouver area? Do you work across Canada? Do you work across North America? Do you know no borders or boundaries? Like who can reach out to you to talk to you, and how can they find out more?
I do work mostly with North America, but I would love global because I love to travel. So that would give me a perfect excuse. I also work with companies. Companies hire me to help their new managers. And sometimes also we work with their women managers who they want to help get into more senior roles. So yeah, but I do mostly independent work, one-to-one work right now, plus the corporate work, but I'm planning on launching group coaching and a program in the fall. And of course, I'll be looking for more podcast speaking.
Well, maybe I'll have to have you back. Have you on for a part 2 when that group coaching program launches in the fall.
Oh, that would be great. That would be great. So you can reach me obviously by email, which is Maureen at mckinnonexecutivecoaching.com. My website is McKinnon Executive Coaching, and you can connect with me through LinkedIn, of course. And that's the best to find out about me, or you can just Google Maureen McKinnon.
Spelled the unusual way. It's not an odd spelling, but it's a very easy name to Google, I found. And of course, LinkedIn is great. I can't sing the praises of that enough. It's like that's how we met. That's how I meet so many coaches. It's such a great place to, at least great in the terms of what social media stands for. It's a great place to connect with some depth and kind of filters out, or at least leaves aside, some of the toxicity that can sometimes come from online interactions. It's very, not just professional, it's also typically very heartfelt and very genuine, which I appreciate.
Yes, I would agree.
Well,
Yes.
Maureen, thank you so much for being here today. I was not kidding about that part 2. I would love to have you back. You are an excellent guest, and I'm just glad you got a chance to talk with me today, that I got a chance to talk with you. Thank you.
I agree. It's been fabulous talking with Kevin, and you've been sharing my knowledge with your audience.
And audience, you've heard this. Reach out, find out more about Maureen. She's at least as fantastic as she was on this podcast episode. Find out more, learn more, reach out, connect. She's fantastic. And we here will talk to you again soon.